Hi, Vikings fans! Viking culture has a lot of fascinating symbology. There are divine attributes such as Thor's hammer Mjolnir and Odin's ravens, and runic symbols that were thought to have magical properties. But the most fascinating symbols used by the Vikings was the Valknut. While this symbol of three interlocking triangles survives in a lot of archaeological contexts, its meaning is not written down anywhere. So, what exactly did it symbolize? Today's film will dive into the mystery of the Valknut. Do you want to learn more about Norse mythology and Viking history? Subscribe to our mailing list using the link in the description and receive a free version of the V.K.N.G ebook, plus exclusive discounts for the shop. Also, head over to our blog for bite-sized articles on Norse gods, Viking warriors, and Nordic symbols, including the Valknut. The Valknut is a symbol comprised of three interlocking triangles. Two forms of it were used in the Viking world. The Borromene form is three interlocking but separate triangles, while the unicursal form is drawn using a single line. It is generally thought that these are variations of the same symbol, as archaeologically they appear in the same contexts. The name Valknut is not a word that survives from Old Norse sources, but a modern Norwegian title given to the symbol. It combines the words for a slain warrior, valor, and knot, nut, meaning knot of slain warriors. This name was chosen as the Valknut appears to be associated with the dead, and with Odin, the god of war and the dead. Ancient examples of the Valknut mainly survive on a number of Viking runestones and in association with burials. It appears on a pictorial memorial stone found on the Swedish island of Gotland, and on grave goods. For example, in the Oseberg ship burial in Norway, it is inscribed on a bedpost and appears on a tapestry. Similar symbols also appear on contemporary Anglo-Saxon funeral urns and on the grave goods of some Germanic people closely related to the Vikings, confirming the association between the Valknut symbol and death. But more than being associated with just death, it appears to have been associated with a warrior's death, as the Valknut almost always appears alongside images of Odin or symbols of Odin. Odin was the god of war and was thought to be responsible for granting victory or causing defeat. The Vikings also believed that warriors who died bravely in battle were taken by Odin's servants, the Valkyries, to live in Valhalla, Odin's hall in Asgard. There they were said to drink, fight, and make merry until the arrival of Ragnarok, when they would be called on to fight again, this time alongside the gods in the final battle. The Gotland Memorial Stone is the best example of an association between Odin and the Valknut. The stone shows the image of the Valknut above what seems to be a burial mound and below a raven. Standing nearby is a man with a spear accompanied by another raven. The man with the spear is almost certainly Odin, carrying his enchanted spear Gungnir. The two ravens are his companion ravens, Hugin and Munin, thought and memory. Behind the burial mound, there is also a warrior hanging from a tree. This is another reference to Odin, as the Vikings often sacrificed their enemies to their god of war in this way. This was a reference to the story of Odin hanging himself from Yggdrasil, the tree of life, for 9 days and 9 nights pierced by his own spear in order to gain the knowledge of the runes. It has also been suggested that the Valknut is actually Hrungnir's heart, a symbol that Snorri Sturluson mentions in the prose Edda. Sturluson describes the heart as made of stone and having 3 sharp corners. This also makes sense within the context of death, as Hrungnir was a spirit of night, winter, darkness, and the grave. Several theories have been suggested for the meaning of the Valknut. Some scholars have suggested that it was a symbol for reincarnation, others that it protected the dead soul against evil. The 9 points of the triangle have been associated with the 9 worlds of Norse mythology, and the 3 interconnected triangles have been said to reflect the connection between earth, heaven, and hell. The symbol has also been associated with ecstatic Seidr magic, of which Odin was a master. The most likely suggestion is that the Valknut is a symbol associated with Valhalla, the warrior afterlife, where all Vikings hope to find themselves. The association with not just death, but Odin, points in this direction. The Valknut may have been a symbol that the dead person was living in Valhalla, but it may also have been a magical symbol used as part of, say, their magic. The Vikings believed that no matter how noble a life you lived, or how courageous a warrior you were, you had to die in battle to be taken to Valhalla. Otherwise, you found yourself in another of the Norse afterlives. To that end, it was not unusual for the Vikings to stab those dying of illness, or place a sword in their hand after death to trick Odin and his Valkyries into thinking that the warrior had died in battle. With this in mind, the Valknut may have been a Sather magic symbol to ensure that the dead person was taken to Valhalla. This may also explain the connection with Hrungnir's heart. There is not much known about the other Norse afterlives, and even what we know of Hell is marred by significant Christian influence. But it is conceivable that Hrungnir, as a giant associated with darkness and the grave, had a role to play in taking the spirits of the dead to one of the alternative afterlives. Perhaps the Valknut also acted as a symbol of protection against a visit from Hrungnir. What do you think? One of the reasons that the Valknut symbol is so fascinating is that we don't know exactly what it means, so it is down to us to interpret. What is your interpretation of the Valknut? Let us know in the comments section below. If you're looking for unique jewelry that features the Valknut or any other Viking symbols, visit our website www.blog.vkngjewelry.com. There you will find rings, pendants, and bracelets featuring the Valknut, plus Eyeskjelmer, Veggvisir, Yggdrasil, Mjolnir, and much more. You'll also find a variety of posts explaining more about the various Viking symbols and much more.